Got a phone call here sponsored by go.tagjag.com/perfectmatch. Buy 2 months, get 2 for free. This is Chris.
Hey Chris, I have a question. What is bloatware?
Bloatware. That would be software that could be this big in terms of size and features, but instead is this big in terms of size and features. So it could be described that in such a way that, well, instead of taking up way back in the day, users actually measured the amount of space an application or a program would take on the disk. And back in the day, it was a big deal. Whether an app was, measured in kilobytes or in megabytes. These days, it's less of an issue since space is, for all intents and purposes, unlimited. Okay, because we could always add a different hard drive, and it's relatively cheap to add storage to a computer system. But bloatware could also be described as software that has so many features in it that it's impossible to use. And the features don't integrate very well with one another. The antithesis of bloatware would be an application like Notepad, right? Because it's very simple. You do one thing, you type in it, and you can do other random text-related things with Notepad, but that's it. I mean, there's nothing else to it. There's no bloat to the program. Versus something like Microsoft Word, which some have argued is bloatware. So much features and functionality that one could never possibly use everything. Now, Microsoft, I think, has refined Word to the point, specifically with the ribbon interface, which I happen to be a fan of, surfacing some of the more useful features of Microsoft Word, which doesn't make it any less bloatware, so to speak, but that, again, could be a relative term. Sometimes we want something more than Notepad, but we don't need something as powerful as Word. So you fall towards the middle, whether that's something like PS Pad, which is freeware for Windows, one of my favorite text editors on the planet. It's been refined over time. Features have been added, but its core competency, of course, is text editing. Very, very powerful text editing. Some could argue, though, that it is bloatware because so many features have been crammed into the utility that, A, it's got a large footprint on your disk, and B, it's got a lot of features that make it impossible to find the features that you want to get to. So, at the end of the day, it's a relative term, but it speaks, I think, more, at least at this point in time, more to feature creep and overkill than it does to the actual size of the program.
Okay, so you're saying it's pretty much, one of those programs that have so many features that most users they can't find them or they don't even use them.
Right, or they're just poorly implemented. I mean, let me put it to you this way. I could develop an application that does 100 things, or I could develop an application that does 5 things. Which sounds more impressive to you?
Well, the one with 1,000,000 features sounds better.
Right, the one with 100, the one with more. But what if now I told you that those applications, if I clarified it a bit, I developed an application with 100 features, none of which work very well at all. Like, none of them. Versus an application that has 5 features, and each one of those 5 features is perfect. Now, which application would you rather have?
Oh, yeah, the one with the 5 perfectly running
Of course,
applications.
it's all relative. Bloatware is more about wasted space, wasted time, wasted resources, and typically speaking to the inelegance of presenting those features to the user. By and large, that's how I would describe and define bloatware.